Welcome back to Chaos Today. I'm Jason, and I'm going to show you what I'm doing to this scooter. Let's get into it. This is a Wolf scooter, Wolf brand. This is like the beach version of it. I've already done some work for my buddy. This is his scooter. The kickstart was broken. I replaced the cover on it, fixed all that. Thought it was all good because it was having an issue when I was working on it. You turn the key on and you had no power, no lights, wouldn't do anything. I might have solved some of the issues. I checked the wiring, made sure the wires were, plugged in, made sure it was all good. But it was working fine. I took it for a test drive around the neighborhood. I took it to him, he drove it, but it wouldn't start back up. He's having issues with it. So I've diagnosed the issue of the no start. So it's getting power now. We're getting power, you can see. And you can now start it. It runs. Kind of pulsates a little bit, but I think I know what's causing that. It's low voltage. Come down here at my charger. It's about to say voltage in a second. You'll see it, 11 volts, and that wire's on fire. I don't know why that wire's so hot. Oh yeah, very, very hot. So that wire's really hot, so I need to figure out why it's so hot. That could be our issue. If I can trace that wire. But yeah, I'm gonna turn this off before it does anything stupid. Okay, back up 12 volts, charging again. So this is actually draining the battery. The motor's draining the battery. So something is causing a bad issue with this. We'll figure it out, and maybe you guys are having this issue. Maybe we can help you figure it out. Or if I can't figure it out, maybe you guys can help me. All right, so let's dig into it. I'm gonna start by tearing off the back plastic so I can get in here and trace the wires, and just take the multimeter and start checking wires until I find voltage. All right. And I did figure out the reason why it wasn't starting, because it was getting power, but it wasn't getting any power. Like, you turn the key on, but the brake light wasn't working. I was like, that's why I diagnosed that. It's like, because the brakes have to be engaged to hit the start button. So I just crossed the wires, and now it's starting again. It's engaging the starter. So now I have to diagnose. What's up, Jordan?
What's up?
Working on Sammy's moped.
Yeah, I don't know what's wrong with it this time.
I figured out the issue, so I now got it starting from up here. Check this out. Boom.
Cool.
But it's not charging the battery, so right now I'm trying to figure out that problem.
That's a problem.
So it's the brake switch. All that's wrong with the no start issue.
That's not
I'm
fair.
worried
No,
about whoever put the extra. They put an extra fuse in here with the where you put your casing right here. They put a fuse in there, and it melted through. You can see that. That's bad.
Hopefully it didn't melt any wires.
I'm hoping it didn't short out any wires back this way. Up there looks good. Back here, I haven't quite dug into it. I just started disassembling the scooter. I've got to take a few more screws out the back so that whole back cover will come off. And start checking out these wires. I'm going to start tearing into it, so let's do it. Okay, so right now I'm removing the plastics. And I'm trying to figure out how to get it loose. So far I took this bolt loose. It's got some damage, but I'm trying to be gentle with it still because I don't want to break it worse. It looks like these two bolts here unbolt, so I need to take these screws loose so I can take the plastic off. I think that's all that's holding it on at this point. So I'm gonna go ahead and take those screws loose. Let's get to it. It's right there. That bolt's actually really loose, so I might want to look at that. It shouldn't be that loose. So this doesn't fall when I take that loose. Nope, good. And I've been collecting all the screws, being safe. Got a little bucket right here, putting all the parts in. And if you're really picky, which I'm recording this whole thing, so if I need to, I can just go back and look at it. But you can take pictures, label all your bolts and screws where they go, but you're spending hours on just extra stuff you don't need to do. Okay, so there's this big cluster of wires, and down in here, if I can get in there, make sure the colors are the same. See, they're not, so that's one thing you gotta double check. See, like that wire's blue, goes to the white wire. Green goes to green. So I'm gonna unplug these. That's for the turn signal. I'm gonna unplug those. And now I can remove that turn signal completely now. Maybe. Gently. There we go. And that one's removed. And now I need to unplug the other side, which should be over here. Once again, check the wires. That way you can color match when you go to plug them back in. Orange goes to orange, green goes to green. Okay, so that's actually right. You should be able to just give them a little tug and they pop right out. I've never had issues any other way, so that seems to be working so far. All right, this should just pop right off. I got it free. I'm gonna go ahead and just sit this over here, off to the side. Once again, it's already damaged. It's got cracks and scratches. So I just sit it over there. If this was like a mint condition scooter, I would be laying each piece on like a soft towel or something to keep from getting scratched. But she's already rough, so I'm just gonna sit them aside. And now I just need to trace the wires because it is grounding out somewhere. I did figure that part out. The wire is glowing red when the ignition is on. For the fuse starts glowing. And it's usually a sign of a bad ground, like something's grounding out somewhere. Which just could be fun. I've just got to go through every wire until I find it. If I find it, it could be a bad connection somewhere where it's just connecting two wires inside the harness, inside the coating here. So this may be a fucking, what is it? Is there a bug down there? Bug myself. I swear if I see a big bug, I'm screaming. I don't like bugs. Okay, so I'm gonna get crunching on checking wires. I'm hoping it's something simple. I'm gonna start tearing into this. They said somebody did tamper with the ignition system, so I'm gonna start with the front, work my way to the back. Because I wanted to take the panels off to see if maybe a screw was like forced through one of these and pinching it. I didn't find that. I checked the wires while I was taking it loose. I'm not seeing anything. I just had the battery sitting down here. It's hooked up right there. Let's grab the key, pop it in here, and I'll see if the fuse is still getting red. Let's find out. Okay, so we have a turn signal. Yeah, the fuse is getting hot right now. Turn the light so you can see it. Maybe. It might take it a second. Turn signal's on. It's kind of annoying me a little bit. It might not because I have all the lights disconnected. You getting hot? I think it's warm. Yeah. Okay, so I've been going through the wires. I hate wiring because it's one of those jobs that you just do a shit ton of it, but it feels like you're getting nowhere. I hate wiring. But so I just got done going through all these wires, tracing it down, looking, making sure it didn't rub or just scratch a hole into the wire and ground out somewhere. And so far, I already checked all the wires. I'm not seeing any scratches or tears on the wiring. The only thing I saw that was out of the ordinary was I think it's a blinker relay, was dingling down by the exhaust. So that was like the first thing I checked. That wasn't it. it's actually working fine. So now I'm going to zip tie that up there once I'm finished. Excuse me, my throat is still scratchy from our off-road adventure. I inhaled a lot of dirt and dust. So I started unplugging wires to do with like brakes, turn signals, stuff like that, to check it. So I started with this side because it's got your headlights, taillights, dimmers, all that good stuff. So right now I just unplugged this wire, and this wire is the cluster going up to that side. And I turned on the key to see if it's getting hot. And I noticed these wires coming from the ignition were also getting hot, which is bad. I'm surprised the thing didn't catch fire. And the fuses are actually the fuse is actually ice cold right now. The wires back here are cold and the ignition's on, so that's good. And let's hit the start button on this side. It's running. That's working, and it's not overheating now on the wiring. So my culprit was this one right here. I unplugged this one and this one, so I plugged this one back in. The wires are still cold. Plug this one in, the wires start heating up. So I've got to figure out where this wire is going and figure out why it's doing that. It could be this wire is grounding out, or it could be this wire going somewhere back there grounding out. I need to see what it actually does before I actually do much. It's probably like a brake light or something. I'm not going to guarantee that because I just have to dig into it and trace it. Let's go ahead and get started on tracing this little wire. Let's do it. Okay, so it's pretty much all put together. This didn't have the panel. He had duct tape covering it. I might try to find something to make that look a little prettier. It should be ready to go now. We just tested everything. All the lights are working. I'll show you real quick. Turn the key on, which is already on. You got the headlight switch. Leave that on. Hit the brake. Brake light. And now we can start it. And it runs. You have turn signals, one in the front, one in the back, other side. All is working. This thing sounds pretty good. It's cold, but I don't know if the horn works. The horn does not work. Was it working before?
I don't know.
Well, the horn's not working, so that's not a big deal though. I'm gonna have to figure that out before I take it back. But let's go ahead and take it for a test drive to see how it works. Okay, so I did find out it is definitely the switch right here grounding out and causing issues. So what I did, I just cut the wires from here. Those no longer exist. I put an aftermarket on and off switch, which it actually has a kill safety already on the ignition, so when you turn the key off, it automatically kills the headlight. So that's taken care of. So this is just in case if he's driving during the day, he doesn't want the headlight on, he can turn it off. It's just a little extra something I'll do on there. Let's see, what else did I do? Oh, I replaced the brake switch because I'm pretty sure the ground being all messed up, I think it fried the brake switch right here. Let's see if I can get a closer look right here. Which, if you're having issues with like a no start, this is actually one thing you should check. Let me zoom in there so you can see what I'm pointing at. Maybe. There we go. It's just a little switch. So I can get a good look at it. Just releases. Hit the brake. Brake light turns on the ignition, tells you, hey, you can hit the button to start now. So once you do that, boom, start. But right now the battery's disconnected. I checked the wire multiple times while playing with the wiring. That is ice cold now when I run it. It was glowing red. I'm sure you probably already saw that in this video. But this is like 4 or 5 days later. I'm finally getting this finished up. I'm busy. I'm a very busy person. But I'm taking some time to get this finished up so he can have it. Just go have some fun with it. While the weather's still kind of cool out there, not too hot. And I just got done retaping all the wire because I had to cut all this wire loose. And I started inspecting all the wires. That took forever. So this actually, I probably easily spent about 12 hours looking at this. I usually charge about 50 bucks an hour to work on stuff like this, but I normally don't mess with wiring. I don't like wiring. It takes way too long, and it's too much. So I'm actually not going to charge him my normal rates because we've been friends for a while, so we cool. We're going to check into this a little bit. See, like, there's just random stuff loose, like right here. There's a freaking bolt just laying here. That's why you should always go through and check your scooters if you buy them from, like, your random little shops. Most of them are good, but even if they tighten them down, they can still vibrate loose. That's what happened there. They tightened it down. It just vibrated loose. And let's see what else we got going on here. I think that's about all I've done to it. I did that. Brake switch. This was not the correct brake switch, so I just twisted and cut the wires and electrical taped them up, so they're good to go. Took the wire out of the way. This is all going to be covered. You're not going to see any of this. I'm about to start putting the casing together. I've got to go see if I have any of the little cases for the fuse, because the other one was melted. It was melted. Yeah, it was like burnt. I still had the spare fuse in there, but it melted it too. It was a mess. And last but not least, I upgraded him to the LED headlight setup. So I did some modding. This took some time. So now it's got a really nice little LED light in there. You can see it. I'll show you once it's finished. But I'm gonna hook it. There we go. Get it out of there. That's a real task. Give me a second. There we go. Got it out. So now it's got the LED light. I just took the original plastic clip, drilled it out, made it fit, hit it with a little bit of JB Weld 2-part epoxy. I'm hoping it doesn't heat up enough that it loosens up that glue. This is supposed to be able to handle, I think it's 750 degree temps, so that should not get that hot. I just ripped this is for like a car or something. I just ripped the little cap off right here and exposed the little prongs. I went to the O'Reilly Auto Parts store nearby, and I grabbed these little quick connect crimps right here, and that way I can just pop them on. See, boom, just slide it on there, just connects like that. And a lot of them will say the positive and the negative right there, so you just got to find your negative and positive. And this is actually a pretty easy mod to do if you want to do this to your scooter. That way you have an easy LED headlight, and you really don't have to worry about which one you order. You just find the one you want. Like, I was debating if I wanted to use this one I bought for the truck, which was the wrong size, so I still have it, of course. And then I have another one I bought from another place. I actually have two of those, the other one's somewhere, but this way you actually have a spare headlight if you ever need to change it. Just remember, when you change it, you have to pop it out of that glue, which I just put a couple dabs in there to make it secure, so you can actually force this off if you wanted to. So it's not that big of a mod, it just makes it easier. So I'm just rambling on now at this point. So this is pretty much it. I'm gonna go and put it back together and do a little wrap-up video and take it for a test drive. I'm gonna take it for an actual test drive. I'm probably gonna drive it about 10-15 minutes, maybe even longer, and just take it for a ride. Make sure everything is good before I give it back to him, because this was a new issue. The headlight was dim, but everything was still working. So the switch was going out, it just finally went out. And now I just gotta put all the plastics back together. Fine. And each scooter is different, so I'm not gonna show you how to take it all out apart. You just find the screws, take them loose until you get the plastics off. So now I know how to work on a Wolf Islander scooter, which is actually pretty cool scooters. I hate to say it, but they're pretty cool. I'm liking it. So I'm gonna go ahead and finish putting all this together, and we'll be right back to it. Okay, test drive. Let's see how this works. All right, you ready? All right, let's roll. Okay, so it runs, it drives fine. It's good to go. I'm gonna see how bright the headlight is real quick. Better turn the signal off, huh? Oh wow, that thing is bright. Okay, so I took the bike for a test drive. It runs, it drives great. Everything works except for one thing. The freaking horn is not working. I don't know if it was messed up before I got it. I never tested it. So I'm going to go ahead. I already went through and checked it. I actually hooked it up to the headlight wires and there was nothing, no power. And then I hooked these wires to my headlight. And every time I hit that horn, the light lit up. So that means my wiring's good. It's just the horn's bad. So I went out and grabbed, stole a horn off of one of my scooters. That way he has a good little scooter set up now. And I'll just have to get me a new horn later. That way I can actually get this to him and he can start riding and having some fun. Let's go ahead and unbolt it. You have a 10mm right there. You just zap that loose, which that's actually my ground right now for the headlight behind that. So I'm gonna go ahead and unbolt that. I gotta make sure I put that ground back in. If not, we won't have a headlight. So we're gonna zap that loose and slap this one in. And that's about it. And it's pretty much done. And after that, it'll be at 100%. I just gotta put it back together. Because everything else worked great. The only thing I noticed, the headlight was sitting a little high, so I adjusted it down a little bit. I'll show him how to adjust it in case he wants to lower it a little more. It's actually really simple. I'll show everybody. If you have one of these scooters, there's a little adjuster screw right there. You just loosen it up and it drops down. It's pretty simple, really. Alright guys, thanks for watching. Hit that like button, subscribe. See you. Deuces.